The janitor's hands were rough from years of mopping marble floors, but when he began to move them in graceful motions of sign language, the entire lobby seemed to pause. No one noticed him most days. He was invisible, the man who swept up after everyone else. But today, as he quietly signed to help a confused deaf visitor find her way, there were eyes watching him from above, eyes belonging to someone powerful. From the glass balcony high above the lobby, the billionaire CEO stood still, his gaze locked on the janitor below. He had no idea that this simple act of kindness would unravel a chain of events that would change both of their lives forever. Ethan worked as a janitor at the towering headquarters of Hawthorne Enterprises, a place filled with polished floors, mirrored walls, and people too busy to smile. Once, he had dreams of becoming a teacher for the hearing impaired. But life, with all its cruel twists, had forced him down another path. After his wife passed away and bills piled high, his degree became a memory, and the mop became his reality. Still, he found dignity in his work, always taking pride in leaving the world cleaner than he found it. One rainy morning, as he wiped footprints from the marble, a woman entered, young, lost, and clearly distressed. She moved her hands quickly, trying to communicate, but no one in the lobby understood her. Receptionists looked confused, security guards avoided her. But Ethan recognized the gestures instantly. He put his mop aside, walked over, and began to sign. Her panicked eyes softened with relief. She explained she had an appointment but was running late and couldn't find the right floor. Ethan patiently guided her, even drawing a small map on a piece of paper. The entire lobby went silent for a few moments, people staring at the janitor who moved his hands with confidence and care. No one knew that above them, the CEO, Alexander Hawthorne, had been watching the entire scene unfold. When the woman left, she touched her heart in thanks, and Ethan smiled, a smile that carried warmth in a cold place. He didn't notice the man on the balcony whose curiosity had been ignited. Alexander had spent years building an empire but had long forgotten what empathy looked like. That moment, watching a janitor do what none of his executives bothered to, left a strange ache in his chest. Later that evening, Alexander called his assistant. "Find out who that janitor is," he said quietly. "And bring him to my office tomorrow morning." The next day, Ethan entered the CEO's grand office nervously, hands clasped. He thought maybe he'd done something wrong. But Alexander stood by the window, his tone softer than anyone had ever heard. "You know sign language," he said, more as a statement than a question. Ethan nodded. "I used to teach before life happened." Alexander studied him for a long moment. "That woman you helped yesterday, she was my sister." "She's deaf." Ethan froze. The memory of her face flashed before him, her kindness, her relief. Alexander continued, "I've seen 1,000 people in this building, but none with your heart. I want to start something new, a foundation for the hearing impaired. And I want you to lead it." Tears welled in Ethan's eyes. For years, he had hidden his dream beneath mops and buckets, believing it had died with his past. And now, standing before one of the richest men in the city, that dream was being handed back to him. Months passed, and Ethan transformed from janitor to director of a new division within the company, a program that provided education and jobs for deaf and disabled individuals. The woman he had helped that day became one of his closest friends, and her brother, the CEO, changed too. He began to see his employees differently, treating each one not as a position but as a person. But the moment that tied the whole story together came months later. The company held an event to celebrate the success of the new foundation. Cameras flashed, people cheered, and Ethan stood at the podium nervously. The billionaire CEO watched from the same balcony where he had first noticed him. Ethan began his speech with trembling hands, but not just words. He signed as he spoke, his movements flowing gracefully. Down in the crowd, deaf attendees watched with pride, understanding every motion. "Kindness," he said aloud, "needs no title, no power, and no wealth. It only needs a willing heart." The crowd rose to their feet. Alexander, usually composed, clapped the loudest. He had built a company with money, but this man, this janitor, had built something far greater, a legacy of compassion. That night, as the lights dimmed and the applause faded, Alexander looked down once more from the balcony at the man who had changed his world. And this time, it wasn't a janitor he saw, it was the man who had taught him how to listen without needing to hear.